So we started with a patch test. You always want to start with a patch test with CO2 laser because you need to see how your skin reacts to the laser. So here are two patches on my hand. This is just after the laser was done. So a tiny bit of scabbing, but mostly kind of white and reddish. And then the next day, it started to scab. And then the next day, the scab started to appear. And it stayed there for about 3 or 4 days. Then after that, the scab started to fall off. And one day, after showering, all my scabs fell off. So I was left with 2 pinkish patches of skin. So this is just after the first session. So we can see that there is a little bit of scabbing, but it doesn't look too bad. There is a bit of inflammation. My hands are quite bony and skinny, so there is quite a bit of inflammation. It doesn't look too bad, but it is painful. It is quite sore, especially if you touch that area that you've treated. It can be quite sore. So you need to be careful with what you do with your hands. You need to be a bit more conscious, even with what you're going to be wearing. That is not something that is going to involve like rubbing your hands as you take it off or put it on. So perhaps slightly baggy sleeves, not tight sleeves, stuff like that, short sleeve if you can. This is on the next day. We can see the inflammation a bit better here. It's become a bit more swollen. We can also see the scabs a lot better. There is quite a bit of redness as well. And it's quite shiny because I was applying Aquaphor all the time. This is on day 2. Not much has changed. Day 3, not much change. For a few days, there isn't that much change until it starts peeling. And then day 5, it started to peel a bit. In the evening, the scab started to become loose, so we can see a little bit of peeling starting here. Then on day 6, a lot more peeling. So the pink skin here starting to come out from underneath. This is on day 7. There has been a lot of peeling here. A lot of this is new skin now. It's hard to appreciate with the Aquaphor on it. Then day 8, there is still quite a bit of scabbing left on my knuckles and my fingers, but most of like the back of my hand is gone. We can see that it's kind of patchy here, some like pink patches where it's been peeling. Day 9, hardly any scabs left at this point. But even though the scabs fall off, there is still a bit more peeling going on after that. So there's quite a bit of peeling. And day 10, I'm sorry about the light. This was in the evening, so the light was different. We can see that even though it's mostly like peeled off now, it's mostly new skin, we can see that there is a color difference between the wrist and the hand. So this doesn't look too bad in the photos, but in person it's very, very noticeable. So you have to take this into account. Like you may want to wear long sleeve, or you may want to wear like bracelets and watches to conceal that transition. And here's day 11 and day 14. So it's all peeled already. We can see that there is a bit of a rough skin to begin with, but this will improve over the next few days. So we're jumping onto day 17 now, and we can see that this roughness is still there, but it has improved, and it's only been 3 days. We can still see that the difference in color between the wrist and the hand is still quite noticeable, and it will be quite noticeable for quite a long time. This was a lot longer than I expected. I would say this is quite noticeable until a month and a half after the session. So day 22 here, I notice that these red dots start to appear in some areas of my hands. This happens to be a normal side effect of CO2 laser and nothing to worry about. So it was gone in 4, 5 days, maybe a week max. So not much to worry about. It will go away. This is just after session number 2. In this session, they used slightly more power, so I could feel the laser a bit more, and it was a bit harder to handle the pain, but I just about managed. So a lot of inflammation to begin with, I would say even more than in the first session, which is to be expected. A lot of scabbing already on the day of the treatment, more than the previous session. On the next day, more scabbing, lots of redness, lots of inflammation. The skin on my hand felt really tight, like it was really pulling. It was like so swollen. And day 2, I decided to take a photo without Aquaphor so we can see the scabs a bit better. Still a bit of swelling as you can see, and it does take a few days to go down. And on day 3, not much change. On day 4, it started to peel. So this time it started to peel earlier than the previous session. And this is without the cream, so you can appreciate how it's peeling a lot better than if it was all shiny with the Aquaphor. And on day 5, a lot of peeling all over the back of my hands. And day 6, after showering and before I applied any Aquaphor, that's the picture on the right, you can see a lot of peeling. And the picture on the left is with Aquaphor, so you can still see a bit of scabbing, a bit patchy. Then on day 7, still a lot of peeling. On day 8, not so much peeling now. Most of the peeling has already happened. And we can see this new skin texture that will be improving over the next few days and weeks. Day 9. Again, we have the same issue that we had after session 1, where the hand looks kind of red, a bit darker in color, and the wrist and the rest of the arm looks whiter. So it can look a bit strange if you're wearing short sleeve. And the last bits of peeling around here, around my fingers and knuckles on day 9. And that's the last day of my recovery that I documented, because I think you can get an idea from the other pictures on session 1. I don't think I got any red dots after session 2 though. Now we're going to move on to some before and after. So the main reason why I got the CO2 laser was because I've got a lot of scars on my hands, a lot of scratches and stuff. But also, since I was doing a lot of my hands already because of the scars, I thought it would be good to get the whole of my hands for a couple of sessions and have a bit of rejuvenation because I have a bit of sun damage, unfortunately. So this one is the before picture, so we can see a little bit of the scars here and the skin texture. And then the after picture, I tried to use the same light on the before and after pictures, but it's not perfect. But I would say that the scars are a little bit less noticeable on the after photo. And I can also notice this in person when I look at my hands. I feel that my scars don't stand out as much as they used to. And then the other hand, I have this long scratch that was from a cat. I took that picture after the patch test because I forgot to take one before, but it doesn't matter because the patch test didn't address any of my scars anyway. So here we can see this scar is quite noticeable. And on the after picture, I know it's not exactly the same light, but I would say it's a lot fainter. Like I can just about see it. You can see it better in person, but it's definitely become more faint. It's blending a bit more with my skin. I wasn't expecting to get rid of my scars completely after 2 CO2 laser sessions. And I don't think it's realistic to expect them to like completely disappear, no matter how many sessions I do. However, I'd like to make them more faint, less noticeable. And I think in perhaps 2 or 3 more sessions, this will be achieved. However, I don't want to treat the whole of my hands again until the scars disappear. I think I can just focus on the scars from now on. In terms of skin rejuvenation, because that was one of the aims of doing this all over my hands since I was getting it done anyway. So it's hard to tell, especially from the photos, but I would say that the skin looks slightly more youthful, although it's really hard to tell from a photo. I can see it more in person, especially as I like move my hand and it doesn't kind of crease as much. So I hope you found this review helpful and that you now have a realistic idea of what to expect from CO2 laser on your hands. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.